Good afternoon and welcome to this live episode of the Philosophy of Information, where we will try to see events of our time with a more philosophical perspective. My name is Andre Meloche, and I would like to welcome today's guest, David, the host of the Freedom Conversation podcast. David, thank you for accepting my invitation. How are you today in Nova Scotia?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's the first day in the garden, grabbing tools, opening the shed, and just really finally getting out there and seeing what's going on in the garden. And so it's a wonderful feeling to be finally doing that after this winter's. It's been very cold here, but otherwise, not much going on. I'm not working at the moment, but that's it.
You prepare your seeds?
Yeah, I got a lot of seeds going. I put some photos on Twitter there this morning. Celery, about an inch tall, a few hundred. So, leeks, a few of those early crops. And, of course, the brassicas now. It's brassica season, kind of. Broccolis and cabbages have sprouted. So, yep.
Yes, you have to start early with those. Yeah, they take a long time. Where did you buy your seeds?
Some I've keep myself. Some I've ordered 2-3 years ago that I'm trying to use up, and some seeds last longer than others, as you know.
Yes, you're right.
And some are pretty new. Actually, we just got a box in the mail. First sort of fresh batch, you could say. A few things. Yeah.
Good.
What about you? Are you planting any seeds right now?
Well, my wife is in Russia now for another 3 weeks, so this year I will buy small plants. But usually we have seeds. We do tomato, pepper. We do eggplants. We do a lot. Usually we have what? Last year it was smaller, but usually we have about 150 plants of tomato.
Oh wow!
Yes, no. My wife is a little bit crazy on gardening, but I don't buy vegetable at night during winter. Nothing. We do around 250 pots of jam and vegetable.
Oh yeah.
So we practically don't buy anything.
Like canning, bottling, storing.
Canning. Okay. I would like to buy an autoclave.
What's that?
Because it's like a Presto. An autoclave, it's in stainless steel, and it seals, and you can can meat.
Oh wow.
That's okay. But they're very expensive. The one that I would like to buy. But anyway, okay, David, let's start. we can talk about gardening for maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, gardening with Andre and David. Yeah. No, we got issues in Canada we're probably going to get to, but no. Hey, I'm not the podcaster today. I'm actually the guest, which is actually
You're
nice.
The guest, exactly.
I don't have to do any work. I just sit here, and so yeah, hit me.
You relax. I will grill you.
I'm not used to this side. I'm not used to this side of the discussion.
Good. Payment had the same reaction when I interviewed him. He was a little bit stressed. So anyway, David, you're the host of a podcast entitled the Freedom Conversation Podcast, and you're inviting in those podcasts many guests who are interested in philosophy, transhumanism, technocracy, and many other topics that are fascinating in our time. And yesterday you had a very good interview with Madame Courtney
Turner.
And I recommend people to go and see this interview. It is fascinating. Yes. So I have a first question for you. Can you tell our viewer more about your goals and what is the origin of your podcast?
Yeah, I started it winter of 2023. Well, I guess there's two reasons, two big reasons, I guess. One was the vaccine mandates. My wife is a nurse, so she here in Nova Scotia, it was 2 whole years of not being allowed to work in a hospital for anybody, janitor, cook, nurse, anybody, without that shot, right? 2 years. So, that's frustrating and weird for our family, obviously, because she was the principal sort of breadwinner, but anyway, so the COVID, let's just call it that, the COVID tyranny that happened. And the second thing, I guess, was there's conversations that I wasn't hearing that I thought I'd like to actually hear. So maybe I would have them myself. But then I was still very hesitant for a long time. It's like, well, why bother? And I read Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Live Not by Lies, and the Gulag Archipelago, and A Day in the Life of Ivan Izmailevich. I can't pronounce his name.
It's hard. It's hard.
So I went down that rabbit hole during the lockdowns, read all that stuff. So I guess it was more of also try to have a conversation I thought would be helpful to before the window closes on all of our freedoms and we're not allowed to even have these discussions on the internet anymore without some sort of a ID or whatever. So I guess that would be the genesis of the podcast. There's this crystallization of all these sort of factors. Yeah.
So 2 years now. And when I ask you about your biography, you wrote that you were an ordinary man. But when you showed me your path, I said this is not. It is unorthodox. I hope you don't consider you an ordinary man. But my question would be, if you are an ordinary man, could you give us a description of what you would consider an extraordinary man? And if possible, if you have an example. I know you're a fan of Schopenhauer. Not a lot of people know Schopenhauer, or except outside of universities, whenever they study. Not a lot of people will read Schopenhauer. So, what's an extraordinary man for you?
Extraordinary man.
Trump?
I don't know. Well, what's an ordinary man? I guess maybe is a better way to start that answer. Someone who's okay with what's going on and their life situation, their family's good, things are going well, feeling okay, but some sort of tyrannical system all around. Well, it's a little complicated. Like, I would like every person would like to be ordinary, I think, in some sense, feel comfortable, feel safe, of course, in their country, whatever, in their life, spiritually. And, there's a mental health crisis in our country also. So I guess the ordinary person maybe is someone who is not tormented so much by themselves, their own self, comfortable in their own skin. I think that's a good way to put it, which is hard to come by, that's... We're very speedy as a culture, right?
Okay. And what would be an extraordinary man for you? A person that you have read, a philosopher, a writer, your wife.
Extraordinary. Well, that would be like 90% of the population of people who have a lot to say, a lot to do, and a lot of opinions, and a lot of solutions to the world's problems, stuff like that. People, I don't know. So if you're extraordinary, I think that a little bit of a big mouth, maybe. I don't know. It's a tricky question. Of course it is. I'm not sure how to answer.
I'm a satirical writer, so I always ask the question.
Yeah. Well, of course, the big characters on the TV, sure, Trump and whoever. Mark Carney now is our guy here. So these would be extraordinary men, sure, but anybody they thrust in front of the camera is going to become an extraordinary man also. So I think of it maybe more on the spiritual plane or spiritual way, ordinary and extraordinary.
Yes.
Anyway.
And why I asked the question is because I felt he's elated during the COVID mandate. But for me, it is not new. It's been 30 years. I'm like, I feel he's late in a sense, even if I was working and I was surrounded by a lot of people. So did you feel that you were isolated during the, what we call the health tyranny? You're having conversation with the type of conversation we have now.
Yeah, I wasn't having conversations with anybody except for my wife. We don't know anybody where we live. We met in British Columbia.
Oh, okay. Were you born in Nova Scotia?
I'm from Nova Scotia, born and raised. She's from Europe, and immigrated to British Columbia, to Canada, but to BC, in 2012.
Oh, it's been 13 years.
We met 2015, 2016. And then we moved back here to Nova Scotia, bought a house in 2019, right before the COVID lockdown.
Before COVID, wow.
Months before it's all started, just a few months before. So very, very lucky for the price of the house, of course. Everything, the whole world changed after those lockdowns, right?
Yes.
So we're in extraordinary times, just to get that term out there again, I guess. Like, we're no longer in ordinary times where you can just...
That's a good remark. I agree.
No one's allowed to relax anymore, you know.
Yes, yeah. Maybe we will go a little bit later with Buddhism. That will be interesting. Meditation. You mentioned in your bio when you wrote me, you said you were a punk rocker at 16. So you played music, or you were a singer?
Yeah. I played the drums.
You played a drum
in some bands.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess more so that the punk rock culture is something that I adopted at that time, and then just couldn't really shake it off. And now I'm like 47. And I still have the same very childish political attitude that just...
Okay, how?
Just
you still play drums?
I don't play music anymore.
Okay.
I could. I dabbled a couple of years ago with some friends, just having some fun playing around. But I play guitar.
Oh,
I learned how to play guitar in the last since COVID started. So I dabble on the guitar.
you never thought of producing any album?
No, it's more for fun, I guess.
For fun, yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you studied world religion and philosophy. So, and when you invited me on your podcast, you were referring to Baudrillard, Schopenhauer, of course, Heidegger. We talked about Heidegger. Which writer or which philosopher had the biggest influence on your thinking at your age? You mentioned Solzhenitsyn a little bit earlier, but maybe you have another.
Oh no, that's late in the game.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I was into philosophers or philosophy much prior to university. And I went there at the age of 21 or 22 as a mature student sort of program, because I didn't finish high school. So anyway, I got into university from this upgrading course to the mature student program. Okay, so then I started taking philosophy, and I started hearing the names: Descartes, Aristotle, Plato,
Kant. Yes.
with the usual stuff, and it wasn't overly stimulating the first year, but that was my major. I changed it later because I realized philosophers just argue about things that are so old that have no solutions to, and I wanted to change my major for that reason. And we could talk about that later too. But no, Dostoevsky. Second year university, there was a course called existentialism. The whole 2 semesters, the whole year.
Yes. Okay.
And I was like, whoa, that sounds like a cool course. And a huge one, 2 semesters, all year long, existentialism. So all the big boys, Nietzsche and the rest, but Dostoevsky, the underground man.
Yes, I read
Notes from the Underground.
This is incredible text. Like I said,
this comes back to the ordinary man.
I'm a satirical writer, so that text was very, very interesting. Okay, Dostoevsky, it's interesting. Okay, so now punk rocker.
That could tie us back a little to that question you asked me originally that I still struggle with answering, because it's profound, that question. What's an ordinary man and what's an extraordinary man? I mean, but Dostoevsky was kind of writing about this in that text, about the underground man versus the man of action, right? And we don't need to get into that. But anyway, so I thought that was very influential to me, because I felt very much like the underground man.
Yeah, but your reference is interesting. Punk rocker, underground. Yes, and we always think that the dark path is evil. It is not. It is not. It is the basement. It is the foundation of something. You were also Freemason for 3 years.
Yeah, I
so you.
Yeah.
What is an ordinary man again? Can you describe this experience? And then can you reconcile Buddhism and Freemason in the same individual? It seems that you did it.
Yeah, and pretty much around the same time, I became a Freemason when I was 19, and that's the youngest
Wow.
you could actually join. You had to be
Uh-huh.
19, I think, or 18. Anyway, in Nova Scotia, it was 19. I don't want to give away too much, but I didn't really learn anything that was weird in that amount of time. Okay, that's the first thing.
Maybe you were too young, in a sense. I'm a Knight of Columbus,
Okay, yeah. Well, I went
but
through all three. Yeah, I took the three initiations.
okay. So
Master Mason.
maybe you can reveal some secrets, or maybe not.
Well, there's three initiations, and I think and in the books and on the internet, people can find out.
Yes.
I think
No, but my
pretty much
question was
everything.
more about, you also practiced Buddhism. So how can you, if I talk about Knight of Columbus, I was initiated when I was 18. You think at 65 I remember? I was never there. I never attend to any meeting, so I forgot everything, but I'm still part of it. But
Mhm.
you had this experience, and after that you started to study Buddhism. So is it compatible?
No, no, not at all. I don't think.
Mm.
One's a fraternity, and one's a major world religion. And sure, there's probably fraternal elements within religions, of course, but that's not what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Fraternal organization, that's really what Freemasonry is at the Blue Lodge level, the lower level.
Lower level, yes.
Yeah.
At a higher level, it's more complicated. Yes,
Yeah.
we can fall rapidly into what we call a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I didn't see any, but I can tell you it's the environment for them. Oh yes, it is a gateway. Yeah.
I suppose, but we always say when we go to university, we meet people, we start to networking with other people, and then after that, it will make our career flourish, and you will have collaborators, colleague, whatever. Me, I was not in this path, but I see that many people. It is reassuring to have a group that thinks like you, that enjoys the same activities or the same ideas. We were talking before the live that you have a small farm, a garden, a greenhouse, and a chicken coop. So with what we discuss now, punk rocker, philosopher, Buddhist, Freemason. Do you consider yourself a survivalist today?
Survivalist.
Survivalist.
This picture is where I live. This is I live on a little lake here.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah, that's not. I walk out the back door, and this lake is there. And there are neighbors. You just can't see them in this photo. So, no, that's nice. A survivalist, yeah, no, but we wanted to
You know
move
what I
to.
mean. Survival
Yeah.
is in a sense that people they isolate themselves. They live in autarky. They have guns. They think that
No.
the world will collapse and.
Yeah. Well, I think that I have a little bit of that, but only in a way that like my grandmother in Newfoundland does. She bottles the moose up for the winter and other things just because her grandmother did too. It just is. There's a cultural element to it I like to do, but also yes, food security is something I do. I am concerned about. Yeah, for sure, because that's an easy one for them to pull, and by them, TM trademark them. We know who they are.
Yes, exactly.
If they want to kill off a lot of people really quickly, they can pull the plug on the food system very quickly. Oh yes.
Well, you know the saga of the ostriches in BC. I think you heard about it.
Are those
They,
ostriches killed yet
I
by the
don't know.
government?
I don't think so. But
I keep hearing
Payment
about it.
Ascari went to a rally to defend them, and he made a joke. Okay, let's ride all ostriches, and let's go to United States and ask to be a refugee. They tested one animal, and they wanted to kill all the. It is, and we think about this, but we think about the COVID mandate, how it was in Nova Scotia. It was hard.
It was very tyrannical here. But you were in Quebec, and I heard you guys had a curfew at 8:30 p.m. You had to be home every night.
Yes, 8 at night until 5 in the morning.
8 at night. So 8:30, you got to be home.
Yes,
For 6 months, right? Or how long?
But it was from and those morons, they did this just before Christmas until April, and they did it again the second year.
Each
I
province
never,
did
I never
different
thought
things.
I would live something like that. So
Oh yeah. Oh man, it's crazy here. Holy shit. Well,
and maybe
you-
that's what made me realize in what world we live in now. You're talking about food independence. You live in Nova Scotia. What's the mentality of people there? You're from there. Are you a conservative person?
conservative?
In a sense that somebody will
Yeah.
conserve value, tradition.
Yeah, I'll be like culturally conservative or whatever. Yeah, sure.
No, I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about something
Yeah,
more.
yeah, me neither. Yeah. So, well, I'm an anarchist, so it's I don't know.
How do you define anarchy without hierarchy? Somebody who wants to flip the table.
Well, I like the twist on anarchy of agorism, which includes a lot of the agricultural system within, so a lot of small farms, not one big one.
Yes, not what we call mega agriculture.
Yeah, and go back to more markets, free markets of food and veg. It would solve the health crisis. It would improve local economies if everybody grew a little bit of food. So this would be my twist of being an anarchist, that this would be my solution to the world's problems. But nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear my solution, which is grow fucking food. That's it. And you can elaborate on that too if you want to. You can go further, but I'm very Neolithic. I'm a Neolithic anarchist, I like to say, because I'm really just that simple.
Yes. Well, no, it's that simple. But you grow food. In 2022. I'm from the city, but when my wife arrived here, she's from Russia. She's a Soviet Union woman, so for them, it's practically natural to have a garden or a dacha, summer house. So we started in 2013. In 2022, we had problem buying seeds because everybody rushed to buy all the seeds that were available at the time, and because my wife she's greedy like me, so we recycle seeds. But it was like a rush, and the year after it was finished. People, they were afraid to lose to not have enough food, but it was popular for 1 year.
COVID gardens. There was COVID puppies. Gardens, and I live on a very rural road, and I saw at least two that are coming to my mind. Two huge gardens just appear almost overnight. And then now they're just nothing for the past few years. Right?
You connect with the neighbors. Is it a rural environment?
I'm on a little gravel road down on a lake. Right.
That's good.
And there's 5 or 6 houses here, just around my own little lake. So we consider ourselves a bit of a community, we have community meetings about to have the road fixed like we did recently. So that's a very almost anarchistic thing to do, pooling our resources. And we actually did it. We fixed the road, got gravel all over, $30,000 between 6 households. Incredible. That's a lot of freaking money. But we needed it.
So you would say anarchy compared to libertarianism? Sorry, I have a problem with this word. Is it similar? In a sense,
libertarians are okay with a small amount of government managing things, I guess, in a nutshell. That's my take. But I'm just an anarchist, and like I said, I'm almost like a caveman level. Just leave me alone.
They leave me alone,
and I'll leave you alone too. In fact, why don't we work together?
Yes, well, that's quite.
Yeah, but no one's allowed to have any free time.
That's quite paradoxical. Leave me alone, but you have a podcast. So.
I know, it's weird, right? And I told someone once, it's like, I have a podcast, but I'm more of an interviewer also. That's why it's funny to be on the other side today, being asked the questions, because I'm not a great commentator, I find.
Well, you're a great interviewer, but when you interview, if I would compare this to journalists today, if you ask a question about philosophy, you know a little bit about philosophy. If you ask a question about economy, you know which question to ask. There's a lot of journalists who are illiterate.
Yeah, it's genuine curiosity. That's why I do it, really. And I don't monetize. I told you that before. Like, I don't have this buymeacoffee.com and all those.
Yeah, I wrote about that. That's
I really do it just because it's it's an art project of mine, and I don't have any friends really. Like, we live out here in the bush, and I've learned to. Okay, here's the thing. You asked me about the podcast, why it started. Here's another element: activism, right? Speaking out, and this was the live not by lies thing. Like, live by the truth. If everybody's lying all the time, and like right now, we're all lying to ourselves that there wasn't a tyrannical biosecurity technocracy that came to Canada and is still here, who have never paid the price of criminal charges or anything like that.
Crime, yes.
So anyway, that's a rabbit hole there. But that's now heading into what I usually go into in my podcast, isn't it? The bigger questions.
Well, yes, exactly. I wrote in my, I prepared a questionnaire for you. We took care of the easy question. Now let's talk seriously. You hosted some podcasts where you always bring a dystopian concept of transhumanism. You invited me on some of those podcasts, and I really enjoyed meeting you and meeting all those. I would consider them great intellectual in the sense that they think by themselves and they read. First of all, they read.
Like I said, I'm not a great commentator, but I consider myself an okay interviewer. But here's something else I'm good at. I'm a good matchmaker. I can put people together in a room and just say, okay, now you guys talk, and I'll ask the questions I want answered, and that's it.
Good.
And so I try to learn from people more so than give my opinion all the time on things. Which I have ordinary opinions. Just like, can we please just stop all the crazy shit going on in society and just be ordinary?
Yeah, but if you read Solzhenitsyn, live. What's the title again? I forgot.
Live not by lies.
Live not by lie. I read a lot of Solzhenitsyn. When you read, you already make the effort of not being ordinary, in the sense that, what we call general or public opinion. We can watch mainstream media and just repeat like parrots. Toward what is happening now, transhumanism, Gilbert McInnes, I think, refers to technocracy. Do you think humanity, like we know it now, in 2024, will be soon replaced by what they call enhanced humans?
Well,
are we on that path?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of threads you could pull there.
Yes.
I mean, they have a ring now you could buy that has 5 different types of biometrics: your heartbeat, your vitamin C level, or whatever. Who knows? There's so many now.
A ring that you put
it's a smart ring.
Okay, we had smart watches. Now it is a ring. Okay,
they're for sale now, and lots of different types.
So is it what, a wedding ring? We get married to technology.
Yeah, marry the technique. Absolutely. Yeah,
and you cannot divorce.
And it's for sleeping. You sleep with it on also, and it tracks like your brain waves and stuff. Anyway, so in answer to your question, the technology is getting very, very close, very, very close to being actually part of us completely. But the post-human, yes. Gilbert also talks about the post-human, yes. And that I do believe is where we already are in the post-human world. And the post-political world, I've realized also.
So if we are in this post world, we can remove the word, the prefix post, and try to find a definition. We human, transhuman. How do we go from point A to point B? Is it possible that some people or many people will be left behind?
Left behind? I don't know. It seems to be a slow development. I think that when there's a
it accelerated during the COVID mandate.
Whatever's in that vaccine.
Quite fast.
Sure. Yeah.
And with what's the name of the CEO of Oracle, Hellison?
Yeah.
And with Stargate, I was reading about he wants to vaccinate all the planet and everybody will be cured of cancer. It's like another growl of technology that they always promise.
Yeah, well, the cancer vaccine specifically made for you, he said. The AI will find the little bits of cancer in your blood, he said. He's no doctor.
So it's like you said with the ring. So it will touch all aspects of life.
Yeah, human behavior. That's we can see that. So, some of the transhumanist stuff is that we are like machines already in many, many ways. It's just not the Terminator time yet, but that's coming. But the military stuff that they're building, and the robots are coming. Absolutely, you can see that also all over the place. But that's for later. But for now, there's a cultural transhumanism that I've kind of pinned down a little bit, and a psychological transhumanism. For example, the dopamine, the biochemistry connection with you and your tablet, positive and negative reviews of your materials.
In your tablets. What do you mean tablets?
Or I mean, just like the cell phones.
Okay.
And social media.
Technological devices.
Okay. Yeah. So the connection with
the dopamine. It's like that stimulates it's the hormone that gives pleasure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So,
but is it biological?
I don't know. I talked to Courtney yesterday about that, and no one can be really sure what's happening under our skin and in our blood streams, and about the internet of nano things and all that stuff. The universities are studying this weird stuff about connecting DNA to the freaking internet. But I mean, are they doing it? Are they not doing it? I don't know.
But what we're seeing now, it is arriving at a very, very high speed.
Geez, the cyber governance, or like the AI governance, or AI can organize the trains and the airplanes and the law. The law is just a book. AI can just learn a book like this, no problem. You don't need no more lawyers. There's so many applications to this. It's unbelievable. To the point where you can have one engineer running the whole fucking country, the whole world.
But what about free will?
Well, forget that. That's already gone.
It's already gone.
That's part of my podcast. It's like, well, I mean, it's there, but I mean, really, is it? We're sort of in a prison state in Canada. A lot of people are really mind controlled. They're stuck.
Is it new?
I don't know. It's pretty intense now. With technology comes even more intense mind control, I think. Right? How many hours per day are people on these things and stuff? And I don't know. I mean, everything being said on the internet about politics and on the mainstream news, which I watched last night for the first time.
Do you watch mainstream media?
Oh, Jesus, not since 2020, 2021. I couldn't stomach it anymore. When I realized they were actually rotten to the core. Every second of the mainstream news in Canada is designed to fuck with your head. Every second of it. That's all it is. Even the fluff stories have little nuggets of cultural conditioning in it. Oh, man, it's brutal here, in my opinion.
No, but it is interesting what you're mentioning, because it's been 32 years that I don't have TV and I disconnect to all of this. And when I was working in Hydro-Quebec, that was 14, 15 years ago, before I retired, we were sometime going to business lunches and they were talking about TV program and everything. And every time the question was popping, why you don't have a TV? And I was telling them, I says, I don't need a TV. I just have to listen to you for 5-10 minutes, and I know everything I have to know, and not losing my time watching this bullshit. I could not tolerate it, but the counterpart of that is you become isolated. They look at you like you're a freak.
Yeah, it's funny what happens when you stop watching the mainstream news, especially now. Because it
Yes.
seems to, I mean, I don't know how it's been forever in the mainstream news, but like 9/11, you know, I got a TV. I never had a TV either, really. But 9/11, I remember I said, I need a TV. I want to know what's going
Okay,
on
you
here.
want to know what's happening, yes.
Because I was glued to Mansbridge every night at 10. Peter Mansbridge, you know, remember him on CBC. So I used to watch that every night. The nightly news was really the only one I ever watched. Anyway, but
so you are disconnected. And if I go back to free will, you try to exercise your free will if you're not connected to the matrix.
Yeah, I'm aware of what begins to happen to me when the matrix starts to take me. That's a good thing for people to probably work out for themselves, or they risk becoming a part of the singularity, whatever the hell that is, whenever the hell that happens. The VR goggle world, you know, where you can, hey, just stay home in your pajamas and put on this strap this thing on your head and go to work like that.
The metaverse of
whatever. Yeah, sure. That's a big concern of mine. That's coming.
Well, you know, my next question would be, you know, you have a small farm, and with the knowledge we have now since the COVID mandate, do you use technology to have a better production? Do you use, you know, we can talk about GMO.
No, it's organic. Everything organic. Yeah, organic farm.
Yeah, because I was asking you where you take your seeds, because you know they want to control. They want to control and sterilize everything.
Yeah, no, we try to get the good seeds. If not organic, then there's other things that are not organic, like F1 or first. Anyway, I don't know. It's complicated. I don't even know that much about the complexities and science of too much of it, or the technological side. Really, all I know is you got to get the right amount of seaweed in there, which I was doing today. As I said at the beginning, I was out in the garden today. Actually, we went to the beach. And we got a whole truckload of seaweed, and I've been spreading that around on the beds here now. And the ground's still frozen, so it's a bit early, but it's good to get a good start.
It will grow. It will grow.
No, it'll break down so fast, and it's got 70 nutrients. Yeah, and other types of minerals and things in there that the plants. Do you know what a gelatin is?
No.
It's kind of like when during COVID they said that if you took hydrochloroquine or whatever, and you took another thing with it, like a zinc, it helps you absorb it into your body. This other.
Okay. Yes,
so seaweed
I
has seaweed has things in it that
help. Those are combinations.
Plants.
Yes.
Yeah. Like say the broccoli needs a certain element in the soil, it can uptake it a little better due to some of the elements in the seaweed. So it's just amazing stuff.
Yes, my wife, she uses some natural antiseptic to clean the seeds every year to make sure that they will grow. Now there's a lot of process that we're starting to learn, but I'm not an agronom, so you know, it's like we try and we fail. It works, it doesn't work. But
you got to learn from it every year. I'm always learning something every year, something new, and the weather's always changing.
So no technology in a sense that it's manual work.
Yeah, it's not big enough of a spot really to have a tractor or something. Yeah, no.
And you have chickens.
Well, we've had a chicken coop for 2 years now, just waiting because of the mandates. We got a thing during all this crazy mandate stuff. But yes, chickens arriving in June. Yeah, they've been ordered.
But you see, that's my question. My next question. You recently in England, the British government, they set up a web platform on which all citizens must register any farm animal they own, whatever, supposedly to counter the risk of virus contamination. So everyone had to comply, even those with just one chicken. So those clever English decided to take the government at its own word. They rushed out to buy roasted chicken from grocery stores. That was on X, and they registered them on the so-called website, and they caused a widespread outage. So you know, you're talking about anarchy when they ask you something completely stupid. And I think maybe we could refer to Dostoevsky. You act stupidly. You act as stupidly as they are, and you take them at their own word. And you mentioned the mandate. Do you think the government will eventually forbid people to grow their own food?
Oh man, I don't
And
know.
what you will do if it happens?
I think it's going to be difficult to do that. I don't know. Some of these dystopian concepts in the social media, the popular, eat the bugs, the World Economic Forum.
Yes, exactly.
Do all of this stuff, and some of that might be out there just to fuck with us a little bit, also
to create anxiety.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just destabilize people anyway. In any way, it's a war. It doesn't matter. In the Korean War, I heard that there's something when the Americans and the Chinese got too close together, they actually had a little bit of back and forth. Any historian could correct me on that, but there was something about the Chinese started throwing feces at the, as a form of psychological warfare, like just throw anything at them. So if you want to take sides in society, you could look at the left, you could look at the right. Okay, fine, whatever. And other groups too. They're all, at least on social media. I mean, and again, it's hard to gauge the culture, I find, for me, because I don't live in a big city. So I feel like the social media world is all like kind of trying to make me think a bunch of shit that I just don't see in my regular life. It's a small town nearby. So I guess I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, will the government forbid us to grow our own food?
Right. Oh, geez, it's going to be difficult to do that, I think. How are they going to do that? Just drive up here and say, "Hey, I see that you got, stop growing food here."
Well, it was Scott Moe in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, sorry, who declared, I think it was 2 years ago. I don't like Scott Moe, but anyway, he said to the federal health agency that wanted to do inspection in farm, he said, "You're not welcome here. You don't have jurisdiction here." So
that's
we will have to push back.
Yeah, and I'm a very tiny farm. I mean, it's just for us, like it's not a big.
Yes.
This isn't a real big. This isn't a farm. It's like a hobby.
It's like a hobby. Yes, it's like a hobby, but it's a hobby that supplies good food.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My wife and I, we do the same thing as you do, and I told my wife, I don't save money, but I know the quality of what I eat. That's and like you said, I learn. Okay. Philosophy now?
Yeah, sure. I'll say with the vegetable growing, though, I will say that our goal here is to grow enough successfully to have freezers filled. One huge freezer and one small one.
Yes.
With bags of carrots, bags of broccoli, cauliflower this year we're going to try to grow.
Yes.
Not all of that's going to work. But a lot of it, some of it will be, small heads of broccoli. It's crazy trying to figure this out, how to grow your own food organically. It really, really is.
Yes, you're right.
Without all this scientific shit, and carrots all look funny. But anyway, we do aspire, to provide a lot of our own stuff. And, that's what we're doing. Anyway.
Yes, my wife, we're always making joke about organic food. Organic cauliflower, it's a myth in a sense that because you have to use, sometimes you don't have the choice, you have to use pesticide. It is not always easy but we try to use things that are more natural. So philosophy, you said that you were influenced by Solzhenitsyn. What's the most what's the idea of Solzhenitsyn that influenced you the most? You said you read Archipel of the Gulag.
And the other two things were pretty short. That short book, just about a day in the life of a Gulag prisoner, and the other one was just a short about what it's like to live in a society that's filled with lies all the time. Everything is a lie, in some sense.
So we're in a lie. So you and me now, we're lying to each other.
Well, no, we're trying to sift through the lies to sort out the truth, but it seems obvious. There's a tyranny going on in the world. I mean, in my opinion, but I'm no expert either. But yeah, no, geez. Well, what do I love about Alexander Solzhenitsyn?
Yes.
Well, he's just a great writer, you know, and I love Tolkien really for the same reason, because he's such a great writer, plus a great storyteller. That's Tolkien, but Solzhenitsyn also very impactful. When you're reading him, it's like he seems almost a little aggressive, and he's frustrated about the state of his country, of Russia, Soviet Russia.
Soviet Russia, yes.
And he went to the Gulag for 8 years, and his personal transformation that happened to him from a bloodthirsty killer, a cold-hearted killer, basically, as he would describe himself, a real son of a bitch, then being thrown into the Gulag. So, and here's the thing: living in a tyrannical system, just like today, me and you today, we're like Solzhenitsyn, and we're being churned and turned and grinded up, and we need to be reborn anew to face evil. And I think Tolkien is a great also to bring in here, in that sense, in that great struggle between good and evil, and the darkness and the light. How do you not become a Gulag prisoner? That was what part of his thing. When he got there, people were saying, "Give me your fucking boots, give me your bread," and people were animals in there, crazy with the hunger makes people crazy. And he really talked a lot about hunger and madness and stuff. And when I think about like the food system and communism, it's like you could turn a key in Canada right now and it could all come crumbling down. Almost that's how it feels to me in some sense. So I guess Solzhenitsyn impregnated my mind with all of these kinds of ideas. So very multifaceted. That's why he's such a great writer. And he won the prize, whatever, book prize for that.
He won the Nobel Prize.
Nobel Prize.
Yes, he won the Nobel Prize. But I can refer to your early biography. Like you said, you were a punk rocker, anarchist. You tried many things. Does that help you detect lies?
I don't know. Detect lies.
Because when you talk about we live in lies or in a tyrannical...
like political lies. The government's lying about everything. They're just, whatever, they're just controlling people with lies and by lies and through lies constantly. And the COVID lie was the biggest lie of all time.
Yes.
And now people are really infested with a lie, like a parasite in their head. It's a tyrannical system. There was no freaking pandemic. I'm sorry, there wasn't.
Yes, I agree with you. Are you infected? No, it's you know, because sure. Sometimes I always ask myself this question. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, it's a good question to ask, and my wife and I talk about this often. In fact, I think just recently, maybe last night, that you got to pick your psyops, because there's no way you can live free of some sort of guiding system in your mind. And this is the problem with the anarchists too. It's like sometimes I think of myself as a spiritual anarchist almost, not necessarily a political one, where it's like I don't want to be controlled by any mental paradigm or system of almost belief of any kind. But in some sense, you would just become a machine, and that's not possible. I have a fucking beating heart, so it's like, okay, well then if you get all these organs and the spine and the brain, maybe you could sort of put that to some sort of use in the world. And I think a lot of people are concerned with saving the world for future generations, and I don't know.
Then living the instant.
Yeah, so I don't know. So what do? Be of service to your fellow man, or service to yourself? That's a good place to start. So that's kind of how I begin my journey of life every morning. Is like, well, and I'm fortunate I'm not working right now. I'm just working on the freaking garden. It's very great. Everybody wants to have that life, don't they? To just be out in the bosom of nature.
Maybe you're more free than you think.
Yeah, so I feel very grateful for that, all that, and I'm able to have time.
You know, the COVID mandate unveiled a lot of hypocrisy, but it unveiled a lot of truth, in the sense that truth about ourselves. I'm not a Buddhist, but I read quite a lot about Buddhism. I read the Tibetan Book of the Dead many years ago. I analyzed it. I would like to know for you, what would be for you the key element of Buddhism? How you, because you wrote something to me about Western world, and because I was talking about power yoga, and you wrote something about. Could you explain the difference between what would be the essence of Buddhism and what we think that is Buddhism in the Western world?
Oh, Jesus.
I told you it would be a grill.
I wasn't sure if you're going to ask that one, but that's
There's no wrong question. There's no wrong answer.
Fine,
there's no wrong answer.
Jesus, there's yes, this is the question. The Western, this is Christendom. I live in Christendom.
Yes, that's why
there is a God, and if you say that there's no God, then you're an atheist. And so there's this great duality where I live, in the culture, in the zeitgeist, and in people's spiritual way of thinking. But there's a whole other side of the planet that kind of ingests other types of ideas. You know, I mean, reincarnation is something pretty serious. That if that is the case, then that's pretty serious, an issue to think about, because your birth and death, it's not a joke. Serious issues here. So there's that. Or your God made you, and what, you go to heaven when you die, and that's it. You go for eternity. I mean, just take your pick. Okay. But with regards to your question, it's tricky for a Western audience, and just labeling myself as Buddhist has proved uncomfortable for me. In fact, people almost disown you. It's like, oh, you're an idiot for being in any kind of religion, because we're in like a atheist country, almost socialist country. All religions are bad in Canada, right? Doesn't matter. And the weirder, then the worse, really. So, and people don't understand meditation, and that's part of the issue. And that would be my answer to your question.
Yes,
that's the answer to the question right there. Okay. Is your own mind. There's problems there, really, I think. And Buddhism gets straight to the issue with the meditation. And surely there's 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion Buddhists over there. They don't practice meditation. That's fine. It's a culture that's their whole world is that. And that's different. You know, they go to on the festive days or whatever over there, I guess, right? But if you want to get to the core of the issue, you're going to meditate. If you want to learn about Buddhism, really, that's my opinion. As a Westerner who struggles with it myself, so you know it's tricky.
Do you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think gardening is meditation? In the sense that when you are alone, you know, for meditation, you have to be alone. You have to inhale, exhale. You need a mantra. I meditate for a couple of years, and I had some quite mystical experience that transformed me. But at the time, like you said, I was an atheist, and I know in many of your podcasts, many times you come back to God. We are an atheist civilization or country, if you prefer. What's the place of God? Now, we had this discussion when you invited me, and God is dead, or Nietzsche said that God. Somebody say Nietzsche killed God.
That's a good question here.
Yes, what's the place of God?
Stuff. Human religion, we need it.
So
I use the term God almost like something greater than yourself, something outside of yourself that you manage or work with on a cultural level, right? Because I look at politics a little, spirituality a little, as the whole human project. You know, I look at those things a little bit, and we discuss, you and I, about the decline of religious thinking and engagement in the Western world, and the increase in socialism. So that's always a thing with me. The counterbalance of these things with a decrease in religion in the world, in the society. Like, this is Christendom, so let's just call it Christianity and call it God. I'm good. I'm easygoing. I'll play by the rules. I live in Canada. This isn't fucking India here or Tibet. I don't live in Japan, the Zen temple here. I live in
Yes.
Christendom. So I play by the rules, and I say religion good, needed. Not everybody needs it, fine. But I see a problem in this freaking country, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we just put a banker just stepped into the role of prime minister all of a sudden.
Yes.
And then no one voted for him.
Banking is a religion.
You got to wonder, how did the people allow this? Did the people fail their country through their atheism and not believing anything and engaging in fucking technology? So now we're getting to the root of the issue, aren't we?
Yes.
Kind of like where my show focuses and tries to draw in all these things. So I guess I think I answered the question kind of, and then some.
No. That's pretty good. And I will have a small remark, because if we refer to your podcast, you cover a large spectrum of concepts, but you often come back to this idea of God, and I like it because it's a philosophical technique to do that. I think it is important. You mentioned it yesterday. You were discussing with this Madame Courtney, I forgot her last name, about Hegel. So I think it is important that we are able to go from the unity to the diversity and come back to the unity if it is possible. Well, not a lot of people are aware of that. Do you have a lot of audience on your podcast?
No, I don't really like spread it out there too like aggressively, like a lot of people have like they're on 10 different things. I mean, I got the Rumble channel. There's about 250 followers on that channel, but that doesn't mean that everybody watches that stuff. But on Rumble you can see how many people watched each video, and so it's about 100-ish. Pretty regular.
No, but I think it is good. There's a part of entertainment in what we do. It is not only information or philosophy.
Yeah.
When I started before Christmas, I invited Michael Jones, who's a very famous Catholic philosopher and writer. And the first episode I had 3,700 views.
Nice.
And Payment was jealous at the time. It was funny. And I told him, I said, it is not me. It is Michael Jones.
Yeah.
It's the person you invite, and like you say, I think we have, maybe is it humility? I don't know, but we have the tendency that we don't want to promote ourselves. We don't want to promote our ideas, but it's not the audience. It's the quality of the people who will interact. And I think, in my opinion, and that's where I think we go back to politics, because our message is also politics, and it refers to, you say you don't monetize your podcast. I don't monetize my podcast. I don't even publish my books. After 32 years, some people, they say, I'm from the old school. I need an editor or publisher, and if they don't want me, I will not do it myself. So of course, I'm a very poor businessman. But
yeah, me too.
Power, political and power, because I think they're related to philosophy too. Have you ever considered running in an election as a political candidate at any level? And if because you're well-spoken individual, you have a lot of experience, so you never thought about it?
No. Well, through the COVID era, one begins to panic and question new ideas. Maybe should we leave the country? Should we flee to Europe or the United States? But also, maybe get engaged politically to try to help the problem there. But I always just fall back out of any idea like that pretty quickly. Yeah, since I have a bit of land and stuff, I mean, we can, just whatever, man. Just work the land and hope for the best. Like,
yes.
I can't save the fucking world. Like,
but it's not what I was implying, in a sense that the fact that you started this podcast, first of all, that's a political act. Going on the public place is a political act. You don't go with a sign and do manifestation, but I think it is a political act. At one point, there are many action.
This would be media, I guess. Yeah, like doing media, it's a podcast. Yeah.
Something like that. I have the feeling we had this discussion about alternative media, and I think that the mainstream media will disappear. Now, it's not a conviction; it's an opinion, but I think they will disappear. Even if they flood them with a lot of money, they will disappear because there's a tipping point where people will not believe them anymore. They will just get out. You will still have maybe 65% of the population will continue, but when this generation will die, the younger generation will be on social media. They will not follow the mainstream media. Who will replace them? And with what values? I think it's maybe we are pioneers, maybe not you and me, but maybe some people who do podcasts since 10 years, they are pioneers of that. And we are just we're following their footsteps. You mentioned in your bio that you want to become a continuing care assistant. You're studying for that, or you did it, or your wife is a nurse? Yeah. That's another tricky question.
Yeah, I was thinking about becoming a truck driver, but not anymore. I'm switching careers from being a chef for a long time, and I've been home for 4 years building gardens and stuff, and my wife's been working, and I'm trying to think I got to get back into the workforce. So so we agreed that being a continuing care assistant, work in the hospital,
yes,
and help people out with stuff. And
in Quebec during the health tyranny, care assistants, they were running away from the government and private retirement homes because of the psychosis that they created. And in Quebec, we had 6,700 elderly people who were abandoned and died of malnutrition, thirst, and total lack of basic care. And the shock that I have now when I talk about this number, if I want to piss somebody, I say 6,700. They turn around and they go. They don't want to hear about it. And after 5 years, we don't have any inquiry, nothing, nobody. They want to forget.
Well, this is why it's so serious when I say people are mind controlled, brainwashed, running around, because no one sees this as a bad thing. They're willing to not look at that because they have to believe what happened.
So, but can you imagine yourself if you are a care, you call this again, continuing care assistant, you work with people who are elderly or disabled or people who need attention and care. That's the concept of it. So it's it's a human relation. Is it possible today, in your opinion, to reach people who are so far away from, I will not say truth, I will say reality? Caring and reassuring somebody is one thing. And I see it. The healthcare system is collapsing everywhere. Everywhere in Canada. It's an understatement. It's an understatement.
Every day I get stories every day from my wife, every freaking day.
And from your wife, exactly. Yeah. So she knows about it. She's been working in the domain for many years, I suppose. So
yeah.
That's it's. So you think it is possible? You think it's a way to? Because if you want to, like you say, you want to go back to the working force again, that's one aspect.
So your question in a nutshell is like, going out and working with the public, being around people all the time. Staff,
yes, exactly.
Patients, the janitor, the lunch lady, probably all day long. Hey, David, how are you? You get to meet everybody. It's going to be this kind of atmosphere, really, isn't it? And all that different staff each day, and so there's lots of different people. I've worked in hospitals before.
Capacity. So you have the experience.
Oh, it's a melting pot of human beings everywhere, really. And I worked in emergency rooms in British Columbia on Vancouver Island. Oh man, that's crazy shit going on. I got stories about working in hospitals. Oh my god. But no, your question. Could this be a way to help spread the message and reach people who are psyoped? You mean
something like that? Yes, something like that.
I don't know. I would be there to care for them, really, mostly, and to make money.
Because there's another question behind. When I look at your path, Honoré de Balzac was saying, "When you don't know what to do in life, you will become a writer." And you say you consider your podcast like art project, and the fact that you were in a
For
many
fun,
many
amateur.
domain for fun, and
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily about writing, but it's about expressing something. You try to find your place in this world. I try to find my place. And when we're teenager, it's a little bit more hard, but it's more easy. So I think the podcast that you're having is maybe the first step of many other initiative that will bring you something.
Maybe.
When I sent you the questionnaire, I was referring to three type of evolution. I would say since Darwin, vitalism, mechanical philosophy. You mentioned about it, the fact that we are machines, and mechanism philosophy. We have three. I think since the Enlightenment, we have three phases of progress. First industrial revolution, second industrial revolution. The third one is the technological revolution, and Klaus Schwab's with his stupid book that I did not read because I don't have time to read stupidity.
Yeah, eat the bugs. That's all I need to know.
Yes, he's referring to the fourth industrial revolution when we talk about transhumanism. Given what we know now about biology, nanotechnology, robotics, can we consider the body that is a sacred entity that is the temple of the human soul? That's the question.
Whoa.
What do you think? I told you they would be difficult.
Well, I've asked people about this transhumanist thing, like, what do you think about this? And, a few people have said straight out, it's a death cult. Okay. They don't care about the body. They want to just transform everything. Because there's black magic, witchcraft, and all kinds of secret societies in Silicon Valley. And there's a connection here somewhere to the occult and to the human mind. They gotta, oh my goodness, it's a rabbit hole. It's so complex that how AI can think now very powerfully about methods of control beyond anything Hegel could ever have dreamed of.
Yes.
So this is the era we're in now, and other researchers have done their due diligence on this. And it's too much for me. It's too complex. Some of these systems that are at work in our world right now through this technology, through AI. And one last thing, I'll point everybody to Honduras, the country, a very small island out there, is now owned by like Peter Thiel and all these other guys in this company. Anyway, Whitney Webb has been writing about it. It's a mini technocracy. Oh my God, it's such a rabbit hole. We can't even get into it right now.
Well, you say it's a mini technocracy, so it's already implemented there.
Yeah, and they're building more systems and more industries on this island to offshore to other countries to help them govern their countries and states and cities and municipalities through their little companies that are all ran through powerful AI. And I'm really butchering the concept, but this is a new industry that is developing. And they're out there giving TED Talks about it and stuff. And Whitney Webb, just check her out. Oh my gosh, she went down this rabbit hole very recently about all this stuff. It's more than you could ever imagine how much money and power these young entrepreneurs have now.
I can imagine, and you referred to TED Talk. It makes me laugh because I consider when I watch this, and I don't watch a lot because honestly, like I said, I don't have the time for this. There's a lot of communication, a lot of science fiction in the mind of people who think that they will become God.
Yeah.
And look at Canada now, with many religions that we have now, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Sikhism, and all the other sub-religion, whether it's Catholic or Protestant or Anglican, it's not important. Yeah. And they all fight on the political ground. They all want to have a piece of the cake. Strangely, in the last 4 or 5 years, we didn't see any mosques that were destroyed. We didn't see any synagogue destroyed, but we saw many Christian churches burned, vandalized, and nobody's really paying attention. Maybe it's because we live, like you said, in a atheist or secular state, but the first sentence of the Constitution of Canada is whereas Canada is founded upon principle that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. So those two concepts, God and the rule of law, if we don't believe in them, why we don't change the Constitution?
There you go. That's a good point. I mean, it's such a big deal. I mean, human beings, can we all just be atheists and just think like machines and just think about, I don't know, love the planet, I guess, save the planet, eat the bugs. I don't know. Love the planet is this thing to protect with all of our technology. And we all just, I don't know, have little carbon-based economies that they're trying to create for us. Like the whole economic system now is actually on the chopping block completely for a whole new thing we can't even imagine because the machines are thinking it up already.
Yes, you're right.
That's crazy what's going on.
You're right. So, but if I refer to the secular state, I read an article not so long ago, and I'm following a French philosopher. He's starting to talk about how it was a mistake to separate the religion from power. And when you think about it, and when we think about the secular state, if the Constitution says, if I go back, supremacy of God and the rule of law, it's like Caesar and the Christ. Give to Caesar what is to Caesar, and give to the Christ what is the Christ. Why we separate those two institutions? But in Quebec now we have an infestation of Islamic school. Even if we have a provincial law, which will be contested in the Supreme Court. So I see dystopia, or I see contradiction everywhere. Do you think that what about faith?
Yeah.
Can we reconcile faith in politics?
Oh, geez, yeah. Like me, I have no faith in politics. I mean, like,
or like you mentioned, you said, okay, the transhumanism is a cult, or is it a cult? What do we do with faith? Do we still have faith in something?
You have to have faith in something. You just have to. Something that you can't quite explain. This is the problem that everyone has. Everything has to be explained to the T, to the number, right to the dot. And I want furthermore, I want my penny's worth, my dollar's worth. I want my money's worth for all of everything too. Or, and it's like, okay, well, then you are a machine. If you can't think that there's a fucking mystery in the world somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell did you come from? Just a sperm and an egg? It just sounds stupid and childish, in my opinion. There has to be something more there. It has to be. I don't know. And I'm not going to try to explain it either. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I like the mystery, actually.
But what you're referring to when you say it's childish, so it's lack of maturity. Western world would be immature.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Petulant children. The news, they're teaching people to behave like children. Mm-hmm. And the TV shows are teaching people to behave like the culture, the media. Yeah, you like to talk about the media.
Yes.
The cultural and the political, how they all knit together. Yeah, for sure. I mean, our whole mass media culture in Canada and the Western world, really at large, seems to be turning people into a bunch of babies, sissies, and weak people.
Weak, yes, weak.
With no identity or something. I don't know.
I don't see any, in my opinion, I don't see any political solution. And there's no savior. We will have to face difficult time. And this is where I will show you something. Since 3 days, I was watching the old series, The Planet of the Apes, the first series with the 4 movies with Charlton Heston and
okay.
And it's 1971, 1972, and I found that very interesting. I will show it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that picture you had there.
So yes, and I recently read an article by a Russian military strategist who stated that nuclear deterrence doctrine was a way to avoid a global dictatorship and the destruction of mankind. So
Mhm.
so the discovery of atom and its many uses strangely occurred during the collapse of the great mythical narrative. You know, Christianity, they all collapse. And in this film, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the descendant of the human survivor in this movie of a nuclear holocaust are worshipping a divine bomb as a no, you know, if you go back,
Yeah, yeah,
it's what if you go back 50 years to see those movies. They're first of all they're beautiful, but
yeah.
they you can see stereotype. It is incredible, and they worship a divine bomb as a last resource, holding a religious cult, and that's why the picture I put there. You know, they even pray in front of the bomb, amen at the end. So. This sequence we call the nuclear deterrence doctrine that I mentioned before. So my question is, when you look at this, and especially what we know now between the conflict between Russia and NATO, it's not about Ukraine, it's Russia and NATO or Europe or United States. What if nuclear weapon and more generally technology, what we call technocracy or transhumanism, the way they proceed, what if those things were instrument of God, placed in the man of mankind so that they could forbid each other to destroy themselves? Is it possible that what we're seeing now with transhumanism, nanotechnology, AI, the nuclear deterrence doctrine, which is you saw what happened in Ukraine with Oreshnik and all these, the new nuclear weapon of Russia. Do you think it is God who's acting, playing with us?
Mm. Well, that's a big question there.
Yes, it
Geopolitics
is.
and war. I'm of two minds. One is that I have a little bit of a conspiracy there that maybe in 1984, just like that book, there's not much of a war really happening, and that's not a good take. I realize that. I think there's videos, but I don't watch them. There appears to be something really happening. Okay, fine. But and if there is, and it's as big as they say, okay, fine. I don't know that for sure. I don't look at it closely. I don't cover geopolitics. I don't look at this stupid fucking war that everyone's always talking about. I don't care. I live in Canada, and I got problems right here in my own property. So with that said, I don't know. If God is there at all, personally, but if he is, maybe he's giving us this technology as a deterrence, kind of,
Something
to
like
not
that,
destroy
something,
ourselves.
you know, moral obligation
Oh yeah, I
in
don't
that
know.
sense. It is in
I would
more.
think God would work through man, and he would just say, "Let's just not build this.
It's
We
too
can build
late.
it, but let's not build it." Yeah, I know
It's too
exactly.
late.
Well, they can still turn off, like,
As soon
yeah.
as we open the Pandora box, it's too late. We cannot put
Mhm.
the secret inside. We have to. That's why you refer to a childish society. If we are immature and we play with the bomb, it will explode because
Okay.
it's already built. It's
Yeah,
already
well,
built.
if the new world order is there and that's in place now, if they are real, what people say in the smoky rooms, all the the people, we don't know who they are, but they're the Illuminati and they rule the world and all the countries are involved. Okay, if that's a thing, I don't know. There could be. There's not going to be a nuclear war. That would be my contention. It's all about
Yes.
scaring people again.
Uh-huh.
So that
The
there's that side of the question too.
yes, of course, because
Or things are going to get hot, sure, and someone's going to get fucking nuked. I mean, it's like,
but I think you answered the question well, because
yeah.
it's the idea is not to say I don't care. The idea is to say, okay, I have to work locally
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah,
my
I really
own
do.
existence and have thoughts about what can happen. That's maybe globally or politically. There's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that I want to ask you. You know, I think I sent you that quote from Milan Kundera. He was a Czech novelist, and I will just show it and read it for you.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote this in one book that is very interesting, The Betrayal of Wills, and he said the de-divinization of the world forget about the German word. I don't speak German. Is one of the phenomena characterizing modern time. De-divinization doesn't mean atheism, but rather the situation where the individual, the thinking ego, replaces God as the foundation of everything. Man can continue to keep the faith, to kneel in church, to pray in bed, but his piety now belongs only to his subjective universe. Having described this situation, and he refers to Heidegger concludes, and so the gods finally went away. The resulting void is filled by the historical and psychological exploration of myth. To explore myths, sacred text, historically and psychologically means to make them profane, to desecrate them. Profane comes from the Latin profanum, the place before the temple, outside of the temple. Profanation is therefore the displacement of the sacred outside the temple in the sphere outside religion. Insofar as laughter, because Kundera was a novelist, is invisibly dispersed in the air of the novel, novelistic profanation is the worst kind of profanation, for religion and humor are incompatible, end quote. So why I refer to Kundera is because do you think gods went away?
Yeah.
And do you think that we are relying only on subjectivity of people, me, myself, and I?
Oh yeah, there seems to be a new revolution in philosophy happening in some sense, and that it's a de-philosophizing of the world. Yeah, and I wrote down a sentence there at the end where he sums it up nicely. Sacred outside the temple.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question, because what would be the new temple today?
Oh, transhumanism and one's own impermanent, not impermanence, I guess. Well, that too. No, permanence, one's own permanence, live forever, right? Because the man is impermanent, we die.
He dies, yes, of course.
Yeah, but changing that whole setup, that's a big deal. Believing that, well, I don't have to die, or I could live to be 500 years old.
You can download your brain on a hard disk. Yes.
Yeah, and believing that that's possible, even though I don't see it happening yet, but they believe it's possible. They're telling us it's possible, and a lot of people think that they would probably like to do it. If it is possible to put your brain in a machine or put a machine in your brain or whatever happens. And this, even though it's not real, is already a new religion.
It's already a religion. It's practically a cult, because
yeah. I think people who spend all their time on social media, it's like I don't know how people have so much time to post on social media so much all the time, hundreds and thousands of likes, and millions of followers, and just bam, 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 all the time, so much engagement. I almost have to wonder if these people are real, So there's also something up with that sort of class of people, if you like to use the term class, whatever, people who are so involved in social media or that phone. It is an addiction too.
It is, yes.
People go to rehab and hang out with alcoholics and drug addicts.
It's the same
also
thing.
In the same 3-week program for
yes.
digital addiction. This is real.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just technology is screwing around with us. Absolutely, it is. So, but we could work against that and try to figure that out, turn it off sometimes. I don't know.
Well, as for myself, I'm not worried. I'm 65. I will live 50. I will live 15 years in this dystopian world. You're 47. I'm more worried about children. I'm more young generation. And during the COVID mandate, you can imagine you're 16 years old, your hormones are in the top, testosterone is in the top, and you're in lockdown. They destroyed the psychology of one generation. This is maybe where I think the political action, in the sense that what we're doing now, discussing about those topics freely with a good language. I go in some space on X sometimes, and I try to avoid them now because they have 30 words of vocabulary, and it is what? Fuck, motherfucker, fuck you. It's just,
Yeah, Twitter
what is it?
Spaces.
Can
Yeah.
we use language properly? So, okay, sometimes you swear. I understand.
Yeah,
Everybody
it's
swears.
a little too public, isn't it? It's just
Yeah,
like, oh, the public square, and then every knucklehead is there.
yes, yes. So that's the difference. We have some discussion about the future of mankind in political context in Canada, especially what you mentioned, the technocracy and the Internet of Things, mind control, enslavement of mankind.
Yeah.
What we recently witnessed the crowning of Mark Carney, he's a globalist. He was the CEO of the bank, the Central Bank of Canada. He was the CEO of the Central Bank of England. He has 3 passports. He doesn't live in Canada. He transferred Brookfield, all the holding of Brooks in the United States. So, and everybody, and now he's right. The liberal rising in the poll.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Do you think this is one question? Do you think we have crossed the Rubicon and that Canada will become a real dictatorship, the first of a totalitarian world government?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's happening already. I was trying to find the list of all of the speeches Mark Carney gave, because apparently he gave the most out of anybody ever. He has the most hours on that stage talking than anybody. Apparently.
Yes.
That's what Aviva Fry said.
And if we refer to Carney, we could refer to Poilievre also. Those rally where people goes, they listen to them for 3-4 hours. They're what? They're brainwashed, or they're completely hypnotized, or I cannot stand Trudeau for 2 minutes.
Oh, dude. Well, this is a symptom, and people are arguing about politics, and like any vote is a vote for government. That's my anarchist sort of thing.
It's not anarchist anymore. You know, we talk about the Overton window shifting a little bit. 10 years ago, people would have said the word uni-party. There's a lot of people who would have argued. Today, it's starting to be a little bit more obvious. So,
for me, if the COVID pandemic is not addressed, I don't have a government. I have a tyrannical overlord. That's it.
Do we have strategy to get out?
What's that?
Do we have strategy as an individual? You, me, or other? Do we have strategies to outside gardening, outside, like you say, being an anarchist or playing guitar with your friend and living near a small river or lake?
Living a nice life.
Living a nice life. I retired in 2014 because I was pissed off with the high management of Hydro-Québec. And I have a 200-year-old house. But a very bad businessman. So I bought a house that needed a lot of reconstruction. I paid too much for too much for the house. I had to put $200,000 of reconstruction in the house, renovation and everything. And I had to do practically everything by myself because I didn't have the money to. But at the same time, I was writing. And I understand that in the last 11 years, I was never that free, even during the COVID mandate. So I think we have solutions, but it's very difficult to put them together.
This is where people might not like to hear what I think. That
I want to hear it.
Like, I don't know. I almost don't care what happens to the great world outside. I do care, of course, right? I pick up my trash and I have a small piece of the world I live upon in a little town.
Small task.
I think on this smallish level, and I'm free to, I guess, do that in Canada, so that's okay. I mean, I don't think like future generations, oh no, that. Things will work out in the way that they're designed. Just because we have an evil government in Canada doesn't mean it's the end of the world. These people are going to make a bad mistake here soon, and there's going to be a real fucking problem in the country, like a real collapse. Something's going to break. Food system will shut down for a few months or something. We'll be okay. But I do predict something's got to click here, because these plans that they have are great. Although it depends on the amount of brainwashing they can do to make everybody accept it.
Yes.
Whatever that is coming, something's coming. Oh, yeah.
My wife, she's 60. She's Russian, but she's from Soviet Union, and she lived in the Soviet Union era, the end of it. When you start to become aware of what is happening, a teenager in 1980 to 1990, and after that it was perestroika, banditism and looting of the institution. But they were. She said it was a nightmare, but they were living. You always live. You always, like you say, you always struggle. The world collapsed, but we are not survivalists, but we adapt.
Yeah.
If we have the mentality to adapt, and like you did many things. You changed many times. You change your path. So
yeah, and I'm
it shows
happy
that
now.
you adapt.
And I might be happy now and have a great life that I love, and I don't mind talking about it. But I really went through shit all of my life. 35, 37 years of it, just very bad. Like literally being homeless for most of it, and rehab. I went through hard times, but I always was guided by something greater. And I ended up here, and then I went there, and I went there, and I went there, and all of a sudden I meet the right woman, get the great relationship going. Now we're together as a couple forever, you could say. We're engaged, but it takes time to organize all that stuff. But no, living a good life here and feeling happy, and but just to be clear, like I realize that suffering's there. Oh yes, and at any minute things could change. I had a major health emergency. I told you I had a freaking stroke on January 30th. I'm still recovering.
That's quite
now.
recent. Yes.
Oh, I'm still recovering. But so yeah, you got to live.
Yes, you got to live. Exactly. That's why, when Payment Ascari referred you to us, and he said, "Oh, David want to me." I was first of all, I was curious, and I really liked the people you invited. I was very happy when you invited me. So we have the opportunity. Okay, we can say that we live in technocracy, but we have the opportunity to talk to each other. You're in Nova Scotia, I'm in Quebec. I have more interaction with Payment Ascari in Vancouver than I have with my neighbor here. It's not good in a sense that I don't see my neighbor. I see them, but when it is -20 and there's a lot of snow on the internet, it's more easy.
I'm not kidding that people on the internet are the only people I talk to, unless I'm in a shop buying something and I talk to the cashier or my wife. And I'm actually not even kidding. I don't know anybody out here, and I don't have many friends in my life anyway, because I've always moved around a lot, and I'm an antisocial person. That's just how I'd rather be alone. I'm like a hermit.
Yes.
Deep down, and I'm fine. But
that's
I don't talk to people on the internet. It's weird, but that's what everyone's doing, isn't it?
There was a phrase from G.D. Vance when he went to Europe in Germany, and he was talking about AI. And everybody sees AI as a threat. And he said in his speech, I'm not a fan of Vance, but he's quite eloquent, at least. I have to give him this. And he said, AI is an opportunity. And I would say if we would be intelligent enough, we would make this opportunity constructive. But we have
nuclear power. Immediately, I think of this nuclear power. We have it. We've had it for a long time. A little mistake there back on Japan, all that stuff.
Yes,
but we're still using it. We haven't destroyed ourselves. So maybe, like you say, AI has some value.
But we refer to nuclear energy. Russia now, they're working on the complete cycle of nuclear energy, and I can tell you in 2011, when there was this tsunami in Japan. And at the time I was working at Hello Quebec, and the year after 2012, the government of Quebec decided to stop Gentilly 2, which is the one nuclear power plant in Quebec. And at the time, 13 years ago, I was not really aware of the philosophical impact. And today, the government is backtracking. The government is saying maybe it was a mistake. When you have it, you have a moral duty to, even if you declassify and you have to manage the nuclear waste, it's there. So maybe the opportunity, maybe we have to avoid being afraid. When we're afraid, we're not rational.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Fear is an interesting thing. A lot of fear in the world, isn't there? Even on a very subtle level. People on social media, I get engaged in it too. I put up a tweet this morning about people who want to separate from Canada. I got a little bit of a patriotic, even though I say I'm an anarchist, I got this weird patriotic thing going on, but only because of the tyranny. I was perfectly happy living my life 2019 all through my life. Okay, there's a government there, they're doing stuff, okay, whatever. Yeah, too much taxes, okay, everyone's complaining. I could still live my life ignoring the government, and they basically ignored me. And now things are completely different. I feel like I'm in a whole different world. The government is watching me all the time.
Yes.
Probably the AI is. If not, I don't think there's somebody, obviously right now sitting there listening to us talk. No one cares about that. And the government.
No, because we're not.
But everybody's being, yeah. But it's a surveillance state. That's the point I'm trying to make. We are headed into a surveillance state. That seems obvious, I think.
If you're ever interested in a philosopher, Michel Foucault.
Oh yeah.
Foucault. There's a book about the title is To Watch and Punish. And he talks about the evolution of psychological punishment, death penalty or torture, but they're the concept of panopticon.
Oh yeah.
This. I think this concept where you in jail you have one watchman who sees everybody, but they cannot see him. Yeah. So the person who is watching, we don't see him. They are in the dark. I think you referred to when you invited us last Sunday. There was a speaker, I forgot the name of this madam, when she was talking about black magic. Some people are watching us and we don't know. We don't know. No transparency.
We're certainly being manipulated. Yeah.
Well, it will be difficult, in my opinion. I try, I cannot.
It's a tricky thing. Well, luckily I'm old enough that I lived without social media and Facebook until my 30s, really. So I feel that helps me.
You're
not get too absorbed in this weird social media belief system because I don't know what's going on out there. I really don't.
But they cannot make the difference between reality and fiction or virtual reality. That's difficult.
Yeah, you're always playing that game. Even just watching the news, even before social media, the news was always like, you watch this news, but with a grain of salt, because they're always trying to manipulate you. And now it's like you're just almost peeking through your fingers at social media because you don't know what's going to be there to drag you in and emotionally charge you. This is a psychological operation. This is not the news or the media or social media is something completely, we don't understand it. I don't think we understand it yet. And its effects on our culture and on our spiritual life and our psychological life, which are connected, I think. Our psychological world and spiritual world. If one of those is fucked up, the other one's probably going to get fucked up. Pardon my French. I do have to go to the washroom. I don't know.
We can
wrap it up maybe.
My question is practically finished, but
yeah, okay.
We passed 1 hour and 30 minutes. We can talk a lot about it.
And we could keep going, or we could pause the recording. But I do have to go though. Besides the bathroom. Sorry.
Okay, so what will be your project in the future? You will continue your podcast? Gardening, like I want to say, gardening in spring, caring in summer, preparing the resistance in autumn.
Podcasting in the winter. Yeah, resistance in the winter. Yeah. Well, a lot of gardening. It's gardening season. I'm trying to get this course organized, get back into the workforce a little bit.
Yes.
And keep expanding the garden and the land, and get the chickens in June.
Oh, that's a good project.
That's just doing that stuff, looking after our health, right?
Yes, you're right.
Good food.
So my
pretty
final
simple.
question, David, do you have any message for Canadian? You said you were an anarchist, but you're also a patriotic man. What would be?
It's true. It's a fine knife edge to walk. If you say you're an anarchist and also say you're patriotic, but only a little patriotic.
Yes.
The Freedom Convoy kind of
You liked it?
sparks the patriotic nerve in people when you see everybody comes out to resist tyranny. So that's interesting. Okay, pride in your country, men and women and children, from what I could tell. Everybody was there. So that's interesting. That's why I feel patriotic, that there's a possibility that the country's not completely hopeless, like social media would like us to believe and feel hopeless and weak and useless, and there's no hope in anything, or just go join the United States or whatever. Always looking for big solutions, big simple solutions to very complex problems. I think, without ever questioning who am I in this whole equation. That's the big question they don't want anybody to ask. That's how you control them. They don't want to have people look inside of themselves all the time, rather than they would like us to look outside of ourselves all the time, probably, for all the answers.
You go back to the simple question of philosophy. Who am I?
Sure,
the simplest question and the most complex one.
Yeah, and that's my solution too, in some sense, is that
Yes.
This is why I say we need religion in the world and stuff, right? And I don't know, a socialist country then everyone just hates religion. This cannot be a good formula for a country in the long term.
We can talk about it another time, and we could focus one episode on only on religion, and that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, I will let you go. Thanks you, David, for the great conversation that we had.
Hopefully it was interesting for anybody who watches.
Well,
I'm not a great commentator, like I said.
We have to start small, and I will wish you a good gardening and good production for this summer.
I'll put up some photos for you.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen who were watching, if there were any, thank you for your presence. And until the next episode of the Philosophy of Information, I wish you a good weekend and God bless you. So thank you a lot, David.
Thank you.
And goodbye. I will keep you after.
Okay.